Hoist the colors. Now, time for the most in-depth look at the world of ECU athletics. Welcome in to Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game. Watch the show live on Facebook and at 943thegame.com. Now, here's your host, Stephen Igo.
Welcome in. It is Hoist the Colors on a Thursday. We are into May. It is May 1st. 2025. Hard to believe April's already come and gone, but here we are. Going towards the back half of the college baseball season, and the postseason picture starting to become a lot more clear. We'll catch up with Jonathan Wagner from On3's Sports, also part of the Bucks on the Pond Hoist the Colors podcast every Monday night. We'll get the latest on ECU baseball from his perspective, but also college baseball as a whole and the postseason picture. He's doing his regional projections pretty much every week now with the season coming to an end. We'll also talk NHL with Wags, as he's a big Carolina Hurricanes guy, so that will be towards the latter half of the show. Here shortly, we'll be joined by ECU football analyst Kevin Monroe, who's the father of 2026 recruit Marcus Monroe. We'll catch up with Kevin, who's a frequent guest in the offseason during the fall. We are live on YouTube, Facebook, and X. If you have a question, a comment, a concern, all of those platforms are open for comments, and we'll get to those throughout the course of the next hour. Again, we're live now, back once again on X after a little bit of a downtime. And then if you miss any of the show, we will we'll have a chance to, or you have a chance to listen to the audio on Spotify and Apple Podcast. All right, we are waiting to catch up with Kevin Monroe. Philip Pilkington back in the 94.3 The Game studios. He is attempting to reach Kevin, but Philip, it was a late night for me last night. I stayed up and watched some Lakers basketball to see them get eliminated. We got Nuggets Game 6 tonight. We got NHL. If you had to pick one right now, do you have a favorite that you're following between the NBA and NHL? Or is it just whatever's on your TV you're locked into?
Well, I mean, because my NBA team is in it and my NHL team is not, I'm more worried about the NBA, obviously. But, yeah, I mean, the NHL playoffs are always the most exciting playoffs, right? So I'm more into those than, just kind of as a whole, just because I think the first round is more exciting, whereas, the NBA is a little more bland early. And also, let us know if I'm not getting a lot of meters when I'm talking as opposed to when Igo's talking. So let us know in the comments, if you guys would please, if there is if I'm like overly quiet and Igo is too loud or what the deal is. So
I pulled up the stream as you're talking, and it feels like your audio is fine. Feel it back in the 94.3 The Game studios, whereas I am from home. So let us know if there's a difference there. I think it's fine, but for the most part, I do want to. We do want to have some news. Or we do have some news from yesterday as we try to get Kevin Monroe linked up here. Pirates get a new basketball commit, also a new football commit from the day prior. We didn't have a chance to address. And Zach Agnos got his first career save. Speaking of Major League Baseball and the professional ranks, we'll touch on that too. As the Colorado Rockies, quite honestly, are maybe one of the worst teams in Major League Baseball history, but it's been utilized to Zach Agnos' advantage as he's gone to the big leagues and has been able to basically be one of the best relievers right away. And he came in to a 2-1 game. This was far from the easiest save in the world. Went against Marcell Ozuna, Matt Olson, and Ozzie Albies, and ended up giving up a single, 2 outs to Ozzie Albies before getting Eli White to fly out. But first career save opportunity at the major league level. He's done it in college. He's done it in the minors. And he goes to the heart of the Braves order in Coors Field, where any fly ball can easily turn into a home run. And he gets the job done, Phillips. So the Rockies, they improved to a balmy 5-25, but the main thing is Zach Agnos 1-for-1 in save ops.
Yeah, got his first save, which was awesome to see. Sorry to all the Braves fans, but I had to deal with it last night because Jeff Hoffman threw 2 scoreless innings on my Red Sox and got the win as well. So it was great for Zach. Obviously, it's not Jeff's first win, but it was a great night all on the mound for Pirate alum.
Yeah, Jeff Hoffman was excellent for sure for the Toronto Blue Jays. All right, I think we've got Kevin Monroe linked up. Kevin, how's it going, man?
Doing good, Igo. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. We got a lot to catch up on, Kevin, and appreciate you hopping on. We'll start with just before we get to Marcus Monroe, your son, who's going through a crazy recruiting process right now. We'll start with ECU and the current team, as you are an analyst for the ECU Sports Network. And coming out of spring ball, man, part of the challenge for coaches, Kevin, is keeping all your roster together. And you lost Jake Garcia and you lost a third-string cornerback. But really outside of that, they were able to, I think, develop the roster. They didn't lose any key players, which a lot of teams around here, like App State, some other Group of 5 teams, I think, lost some key linemen and other things like that. So how big is that for Blake Harrell, not only having a good spring, but not losing guys to the portal here during this most recent portal window?
No, I think that's awesome, Igo. You and I have talked about that in the past, but a guy like Anthony Smith coming back at receiver, knowing that his stock was probably really high around the country, Jamari Riddle coming back at the defensive back position. It's kind of crazy. You mentioned me, and we'll talk about Marcus in a minute, but as we've been going around the country visiting these universities, when people hear that I went to East Carolina, they will start naming players' names. I mean, these are personnel guys. They'll start saying, "Oh, I know so-and-so. I know so-and-so." And it's because they all now have scouting departments, and they spend time looking at film on players of teams all around the country. And so you know all these guys that had really good seasons last year had opportunities to go other places, and it's scary that's where we are in college football. But I am excited that Coach Harrell and his staff has been able to keep these guys there. And for the most part, if you have a guy that's playing and he's playing well, why wouldn't he come back? The only reason he wouldn't come back is if he wants more money, and that's something that we can't really fix, unless people are willing to donate more. Other than that, we want to keep players happy by playing them and putting them in a good system and winning football games. And it sounds like we're heading in the right direction.
Kevin Monroe, ECU Sports Network analyst, is with us. And Kevin, I know you weren't around for the spring practices firsthand, but I can tell you from being out there, I think we both, when we talked at the end of last season, we were both encouraged by the offense going forward. And Caden Hauser did miss the start of spring with his wrist surgery, working his way back. And I thought he was knocking the rust off. But the biggest thing that stood to me was just the explosiveness of the offense. I think they're deep at running back. I think they're deep at receiver. Anthony Smith, Yannick Smith, both back. So the defense was up and down, as you would expect with a first-year coordinator. But when you hear that the offense was pretty much humming during spring ball, what's kind of your main takeaway?
I'm excited about that because, honestly, usually defense is ahead of offense because it's, to just go out there and line up and play with your hair on fire and make plays as a defensive player is generally going to happen faster than the offense learning the playbook, learning the scheme, getting a feel for each other, the timing from the quarterback to the receivers, especially when your starter's hurt and you're working with the backup. So to hear that the running game is looking good, the passing game is looking good, especially because we've got a couple transfers that came in at the running back position and other places like that, offensive line, to see that kind of mixing and melding so early on in the process, because we're not even to summer workouts and you get into the preseason and in the fall camp. We're a ways away from that. So to have that happening in the spring, to see the backup quarterbacks playing well, to see the receivers, catching passes and offensive line holding off defensive players, it's been impressive to hear about. I'm excited to see them in the summer. So yeah, knowing that the offense is playing well early, that's going to dictate the entire season, because we know the defense will come around. But getting that offense going and being able to put points on the board is how you'll get started to be competitive in this league.
Kevin, defensively, there are definitely some questions about just the experience. I would say, watching them in the spring, I thought they looked honestly at times better up front than I thought they would. But the concern for me is on the back end at corner. And losing, obviously, Savon Ravel, who is going to your Dallas Cowboys, by the way. A great pick there, but we'll get into that maybe here in a bit. But, it's almost an entirely new room, and they've basically gone out and addressed it with a bunch of older transfers. They even got an Old Dominion 2-year starter, ODU, come in the other day. So they've got like 4 or 5 transfers now. Tymier Brown is really the one guy back who has played some. So what do you think of that approach? And maybe it's a necessary one where it's almost all transfers at corner, and I guess time will tell to see how it works out.
Yeah, you know what? Of all the positions to transfer in and get acclimated right away, I go on record as saying corner is the easiest one mentally, right? You come in, I could throw you in from the sidelines and you've never been to practice. And I say, you're in cover 2, you're in cover 3, you're in man-to-man. That's played everywhere around the country, and you could go do it. Now, there's going to be some intricacies that you need to know, like who's blitzing when, what your linebacker's doing underneath you, when it's your turn to blitz. There'll be some certain calls that you'd have to understand and learn. But if I say just go cover, just go play cover 3, just go play cover 2, you know how to do that. And so I'm excited to have some transfer at corner because we needed to fill that position. Obviously with Savone going down early last year, we had to play guys that were backups, and we were hurting a little bit at that spot anyway. So that was a spot we would have to bring in regardless of whether he ever came back or not. The kid at Old Dominion looks good, a couple others that I'm excited about. But, yeah, that's a plug-and-play position, and I don't think they'll have any slow acclimation to the defense from doing that. Once they get in there and start playing, they should be fine. And with safeties that are coming back, Tegan Wilk being back in the program I think is huge, whether he's an everyday starter or whether he's a guy that sub in, I don't know. But at least that leadership, the guy who's been here before, that's going to be great. Jamari Riddle, I've already commented on how good a player he is. And so, yeah, I think that the corners will be fine because there's some other veteran players around them. You mentioned the D-line, guys like Lampley and Danka are some guys that have been around there for a few years. Hopefully their leadership will help to get the newer guys and the younger guys ready to go because this is a talented defense. It's just all brand new.
Kevin Monroe with us, ECU Sports Network football analyst, former Pirate football player, and he is also the father of 2026 three-star recruit Marcus Monroe out of North Raleigh Christian Academy. Have really enjoyed following Marcus's recruitment, Kevin. And before we get into, obviously the specifics and some major offers and schools interested, just what's it been like being on the road, taking a bunch of visits this spring? How crazy has it been as his recruitment has picked up?
Listen, it's been out of control. I'm just so proud of him and the work he puts in. It's the one thing you can't coach or teach as a father is effort, right, and attitude. And we put him in a weightlifting program and a speed training program that he has to go to, 4 days a week. That's above and beyond anything else he has going on. And he has to get himself there. He drives 30 minutes there and 30 minutes back, and he never complains. He does it every time. And so the fact that he's putting in the work and now his work is paying off. For instance, he was a wide receiver a year ago, right? And at the end of, getting towards the end of his junior season, we decided, hey, he's not a top end speed guy. He's not going to be a guy that blow off top of the defense. At his size, though, he could transition to tight end and be just an unbelievable playmaker because there'll be a matchup problem for safeties and linebackers. And so at the end of the season, he was weighing 198, and he made that commitment. And today he weighs 222. And so between just lifting weights like crazy, eating tons of protein, taking creatine and the supplements that you take when you're trying to get bigger, like he's just gotten after it. And so that part of it, I'm really proud of him. And because of that, the colleges are paying attention, and he's doing really well. Yeah, the visits have been great because I had a recruiter at school. I won't name the school, but a recruiter at school told me that he's the best tight end in the country that nobody knows about yet. And so that was just an incredible compliment to what he's done and what they see in him in terms of potential.
Obviously, more than a handful of offers, Kevin, including Cincinnati, which he is scheduled to take an official visit, I assume, still in June. So the latest on that you can share on kind of the schools that are really making him a priority right now, who's really recruiting him. I know it's kind of probably a little touch and go with this evaluation period ongoing as well.
Yeah, it's been interesting, and his high school has been great. They've never had spring football before, and they decided to create spring football just because all the coaches kept saying we want to come see him play. And so the first day of padded practice, he had 7 coaches there, 2 from Duke, 1 from UNC Charlotte, 1 from Liberty, East Carolina tight end coach McKay showed up, Cincinnati was there, Rutgers was there, and Duke was there. So that'll just tell you the people that were interested to see him practice that day. Later that night, Louisville showed up. Today at school, Marshall came. a few other schools are going to be coming this week. So it's been crazy. We're worried about his schoolwork because we want to make sure too many coaches aren't taking him out of class. But I'm just so happy for him to be able to get this attention and see how it goes. I'm excited that East Carolina showed up. You know, we hadn't talked to them very much in this process, so the fact that they showed up to practice, you know, meant a lot to me. So we'll see where it goes, but he's definitely getting some attention.
I'm going to have to remind Blake and company they need to get over there a little more, Kevin. But we'll do what we can for sure. But, hey, man, we're proud of Marcus, and wherever he ends up, he's going to be a phenomenal student-athlete, a great player, and looking forward to his development. All right, last thing for you, and we'll keep we'll maybe get you on for another Marcus update later this summer. But Savone Revel going to the Cowboys. First off, how shocked were you that he went in the third round? And then how much of a steal is this for the Cowboys?
I think it's huge because, you know, obviously I'm a Cowboy fan, and he's a first round talent. Like he graded out first round a year ago, and because of the injury, we all know that's why he fell in the draft. And so to get a first round player in the third round is just a good job, you know, in your war room. And so when I was sitting there with next to my father, and we were saying, you know, that he's a Cowboy fan as well. We were like, okay, we went offensive line and D line with the first two picks. Need to get a receiver to help CeeDee Lamb, or maybe you know, somebody in the secondary or whatever. We didn't know what was going on, but in the same breath we said, man, you know, Savone hasn't gone yet. I wonder where he'll go. And then we both looked at each other at the same time when they called his name. It was just this euphoric feeling, like, oh my God, you solve two problems with one pick. You get the pirate off the board, but also you get the corner that you need, and that you know is a good player. And so to have all those, you know, prognosticators like Mel Kiper and guys like that who had him ranked so high, see him go in the third round and get all the love on the draft day, that was just really, really cool.
Kevin Monroe, ECU Sports Network analyst. Kevin, we appreciate it, man. We'll let you get back to it. And, again, best of luck with Marcus's recruitment. We'll be following. Let us know if we can do anything on our end. But thanks, as always.
Appreciate it, Igo. Anytime.
He is Kevin Monroe, former ECU football player and analyst on the ECU Sports Network. All right, we got to get a break in. We'll come back. We'll have Jonathan Wagner from On3's Sports join us, also part of the Hoist the Colors podcast as well. We'll touch on ECU baseball, but look as well around college baseball, and his Hurricanes are into the next round of the NHL playoffs, so we'll discuss that with Jonathan as well. This is Hoist the Colors on a Thursday.
The team of Flatlands Jessup is working overtime to help ensure that Eastern North Carolinians like you get the health insurance help you need this open enrollment period. New legislation passed, meaning more people than ever qualify for affordable coverage. Let us help you today.
Are you ready to tackle those yard and garden projects? Come by East Carolina Tractor and Fleet, your local Coyote dealer, and check out their great selection of residential and commercial Coyote tractors. From zero-turn mowers to compact tractors to skid steer loaders, they've got you covered. Some with 0% financing for qualified buyers. Stop by your hometown Coyote dealer, East Carolina Tractor and Fleet, across from the Pitt County Fairgrounds, or online at ectfleet.com. East Carolina Tractor and Fleet. We dig dirt.
Big tax credits are back. Get a 30% tax credit, up to $2,000 off your new Mitsubishi electric heat pump install. Let Comfort Master help you take advantage of the tax credits with a qualifying Mitsubishi electric ducted heat pump or non-ducted Mitsubishi electric mini splits. Mitsubishi electric mini splits are ideal for bonus rooms, garages, or sunrooms. If you need a new HVAC unit, call Comfort Master today.
Call Comfort Master. Call Comfort Master.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers in Greenville, plus the all-new Tiebreakers in Winterville. Do real burgers better than anybody. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, real burgers at its best.
Everybody loves burgers.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro-adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
HealthWise Pharmacy rounds the bases with all of your infusion, retail, compounding, and medical equipment needs. Locally owned and operated by pharmacist Marcy Parker, HealthWise has grown to be your most trusted provider for infusion services. Currently providing in-home or on-site infusions in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. Visit HealthWise Pharmacy at 615B South Memorial Drive or call 252-295-0059 to speak to a patient service representative to find the option that best suits your needs.
Tired of the 1-800 numbers advertising Medicare products? Flatlands Jessup has 6 offices all throughout eastern North Carolina. Get face-to-face help from our local award-winning licensed team. Stop by today. Flatlands Jessup, your whole world covered.
Everything you need to know in the world of ECU athletics. This is Hoist the Colors with Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back in. Hoist the Colors on a Thursday. We're into May 1st. That means NHL, NBA playoffs are rolling on. Also, the college baseball postseason is drawing clear and getting closer as well. We are going to talk with Jonathan Wagner from On3, also part of the Hoist the Colors podcast. Wags, how's it going, man?
It's going well. I'm happy that back on the show. It's been a while, and I'm glad that you're finally talking to me about some hockey. I've been waiting on this.
It's a dual win.
Yeah,
you get hockey, and I get to hang out with Wags all weekend. Let's go!
Sounds like a
real
good
question
weekend to me,
is,
Phil.
how many hockey questions can I get in? And I'm going to say very few, but we'll save that for next segment. For those who haven't been able to join us on the Bucks on the Pond, Hoist the Colors podcast, Wags, we'll start with ECU, just general feeling on this season as a whole. Pirates have been extremely up and down, and what do you make of what's been a disappointing season relative to expectations for Cliff Godwin's club?
Yeah, I think it's something I've said over and over again on our podcast, and it's just this season has been one of kind of recalibrating our expectations going into each game, each weekend, and they haven't been up to the standard that we're used to. But I think coming in that we expected some level of drop off, just given how much was gone from last year. So that's right. It has been a down year, I think more so than anybody expected. But I think now you're kind of at the point of the year where you're going to find out what you have. And you learn a lot about your players when times get tough. And there's been a lot of tough times this season through injuries, through losses, all that kind of stuff. So just because you're probably not going to make the postseason doesn't mean there's not much to play for. And for me, I think the rest of the year, it's about who do you have going into the next year and how do those guys respond when things get even tougher down the stretch.
So if you go to on3.com and you hit the college baseball part of the website, you'll see Jonathan Wagner on the byline. He's doing his regional field. And Wags, how much do you, before we get into some specifics here, how much time do you spend on this? How much is it a weekly thing this time of year? How much do you enjoy this? Because there's a little bit of mad scientist every week when you're putting this together, right?
Oh yeah, I love it, and I'm a nerd, so I live for this stuff. But typically for me is the way I go. I predict the top 25 at the end of every Sunday, so after every weekend. So throughout the weekend, I have a notebook where all top 25 teams, I keep track by hand of how they do in their midweeks, how they do in their weekends. And I already kind of have an idea of, who's hosting, who's on the bubble, and that kind of stuff. So I'm checking the D1 baseball websites and scoreboards a lot. And, then I get to Monday morning, and after the top 25 rolls out, then I kind of shift my attention and I take a couple hours to kind of recap the week that was, go through the RPI and see kind of what's changed resume-wise. And then I just go conference by conference. And it's the most fun part of the process for me, I think, just going to whichever website is working best and seeing who's leading the conference at the time, who's going to get the automatic bid, and who else is in contention there. So, yeah, it's kind of an everyday thing right now. And there's only 3 weeks in the regular season left, so it's only going to get more meaningful down the stretch. But, yeah, I love it. I love this time of year, and it's a shame that ECU is not there, but just from a national perspective, it's so much fun to me for as big of a nerd I am.
Yeah, typically I'm following like all the projected regional hosts. Where does ECU fit into the picture this year? I'll fully admit, look, I'm almost completely out of of like who is in hosting territory. I do know that NC State, by virtue of its sweep of Clemson, is now very much catapulted itself into the hosting picture and was kind of already trending there. North Carolina still in that picture. Clemson, even with the loss. So what regionally, are those kind of the teams you're looking at, and any others around the Carolinas that could host, or even up into Virginia or neighboring states, anything like that?
Yeah, I think I was a little higher on North Carolina for a while earlier in the season than some of the other outlets were. I've had them as a host pretty much from the start. And for a while, they lived in that kind of 12 to 13 range. And lately, as the ACC is weird this year. It just really is. And North Carolina's kind of stayed quietly right there at the top. And right now, if the season ended today, North Carolina would be a top 8 seed in my eyes. But then you look at NC State, and a month ago you're thinking, oh, they're probably in as a 3 seed, but then they swept Clemson, and all of a sudden they're sitting at the top of the ACC and alone in the ACC, I'll add. And NC State's looking like a lock to host right now, unless they just collapse down the stretch. And if NC State goes in and they do win the ACC regular season, they have a good showing in the conference tournament there, then they're going to be in top 8 contention and probably a lock to host as a top 8 too. So those two are for sure right there. But outside of that, I mean, Duke's in as a probably 3 seed right now. Virginia Tech's 3 seed, closer to the bubble right now. And I mean, outside of that, hosting wise, I don't see anybody. And it would take a lot. Wake Forest was in the conversation for a while, but they went through a brutal 2-3 week stretch that kind of knocked them down to a 2 seed. But when you're in those conferences like the ACC, even the SEC in some of those spots, if your RPI is going to stay high. So never say never. A lot can change in 3 weeks.
And you currently have, as we mentioned, Clemson in. Coastal as a 12 hosting Ole Miss, Duke, and Oral Roberts. That would be an insane regional if that were to come to fruition. All right, so I've got a question here from Lane Smith that I'll ask to the panel, which I think is worthy of discussion. He says, how has UTSA out-recruited us? They can hit for average and power up and down the lineup, every single one of them. How have we not gone and taken some of their players? You can't tell me they would love to play. It's disgusting to look at their facilities and then look at their record. I'll give my brief take, and then I'll pitch it to Wags and then Philip. For me, look, they're in San Antonio, Texas. That is a hotbed for baseball talent. And yes, their facilities are embarrassing, but they have some recent tradition. Their coach there, I can't recall his name, but I know he's very highly regarded in the business, although some people don't like him. Maybe Cliff Godwin included, based on last year. But they recruit well, and they're in a hotbed, and they've done a good job of taking transfers. And they've been pretty good for the past handful of years. So I think when you're in Texas, it's easier to recruit. Your take, Wags, on UTSA. I don't know if you've been able to watch them this year and their success.
No, yeah, I completely agree with you. And when you're a small school in Texas like that, you should be good. You have so much talent there for you. And, your UTSAs, your schools like Rice, it's a shame that, especially for a team like Rice, that they haven't been able to be good in so long, because they should be. It shouldn't be very hard to just go and find some of your schools that kind of get forgotten by some of the bigger schools in that area, and you still have a lot of talent left over. So I'm glad that UTSA is good right now. I just hope that they can sustain it, because ECU is not going to be in a position to where they're not in, postseason contention, hosting contention. It's not going to be like that for long at all. So when you look at next year, hopefully ECU's back in the mix at the top. Hopefully they're looking to host again, and it'll only help them if they have more good teams in the conference like UTSA, and ideally you get someone else to step up. But yeah, their facilities do stink. That's a shame, but there's no excuse for schools like that to not be good.
Lane, I understand your frustration, but I do want to bring up the point that it's 1 year, right? So UTSA, we're going to talk about them. They are in an area, like the previous two guys mentioned, it's a recruiting hotbed. Now, North Carolina's got a lot of great talent too, but there are also two premier programs in Texas that don't have baseball, in SMU and who am I drawing a blank on? It's not TCU.
North Texas.
North Texas, yeah. So you've got two teams, one Power 5, one Group of 5 that are in the area that don't have it. So that's two less teams you're recruiting against, whereas everybody here, and I know you go, well, there's less Power 5 teams in the state of North Carolina. Well, we're recruiting against Virginia. We're recruiting against Tennessee. We're recruiting against South Carolina, Clemson, programs like that. And look, they've only been better than us for 1 year. This is a team 2 years ago that snuck into the top 25 for a handful of weeks midway through the season. That was a year that East Carolina, yes, did go on the road as a 2 seed to Charlottesville and unfortunately did not win that regional. But this UTSA team has constantly been one step below East Carolina year in and year out. They've been a very good team, but not to the level of us. This really is the first year that they're better than us, and that is just the unfortunate parody of college athletics, but it's why we watch the game, and it's what makes sports so entertaining is that parody. So, yes, it's frustrating from an East Carolina standpoint, but from a broad standpoint, when you look at the overall body of work, let's say over the last 5 years, they haven't really out-recruited us. It's just kind of a 1 year. It's just a blimp on the radar.
And to go further on that, great point, Philip, that 1 year, they haven't even made the NCAA tournament during their coach's run, Patrick Hallmark. Now, they were really close a couple years ago, 38-19 and 38-20 and 22 and 23, but still, this would be their first NCAA tournament appearance since he got there in 2020. So, like, if they were consistent, if they're good again next year, better than ECU, then I understand the frustration. I understand the frustration now, but I would understand even more then if this is a multi-year thing. All right. Final baseball question, Wags, and we'll get a break in. As you put together your field of 64, like who are the big bubble teams right now that really need to close the season strong or are in danger of being left out of this tournament? What's the bubble looking like?
The bubble is very weird this year, and for so long it's felt weak. I think in recent weeks has trended back towards being a little stronger, but to me it starts with the SEC and what happens there. I mean, there's probably a case for, at this point, 13 teams to get in, and you have Florida and Texas A&M, and I had both of them in. I believe at least one of them was on my bubble. I can't remember off the top of my head, but they're both right there in that range. And to me, it's when you're a school like that, Florida especially, I think Florida's top 20 in RPI. At least they were going into the week. And if you're that high in RPI, typically you would have to get to about 12 to 13 wins in the SEC. Both of them are right around 8 right now. So 3 weekends left, no easy weekends in the SEC unless you're playing Missouri. And so it's tough. But if you can get to about 12 wins in the SEC and have your RPI that high, then you're probably safe. If you're closer to where Texas A&M is right now, and they're in the 30s, 40s RPI, then you probably need to get that 13th win. About what happens in the SEC, and you look at a school like Mississippi State, who just fired their coach. They were my first team out. So they're right in that 7-8 SEC win range, and they have a manageable stretch the rest of the way. So it all kind of starts with them, and then you have some teams like a McNeese even, however you say that, and those two teams, I think Southeastern Louisiana, whichever one of them 3 wins their conference is in, obviously. But then the other 2 are going to have an RPI that's top 40, top 50 probably, and they've been in the bubble for me. And the ACC, I think Virginia, just to talk about another school close by, and Virginia was preseason number 2, and they fell off quick. They fell out of the top 25 in the rankings, but now Virginia is a team that is right back in the mix on the bubble. They have some work to do. RPIs in the 70s coming into the week, but Virginia's right there. So there's a lot of good teams on the bubble and a lot of teams on the bubble that some of these other hosts are not going to want to see in their regional.
It wouldn't be a Wags appearance without him ticking off at least one fan base, and Rio Grande Valley is the one that it gets the draw today. I think that's how you say it, but yeah, I'll be honest,
UT Rio Grande Valley, yeah.
Rio Grande Valley, however you say it.
Hey, it sounds like he's ordering Starbucks. Yeah, what is this, your Starbucks order? Come on, Wags.
UTRGV, that's what they are to me.
There you go. We know he can spell, so that's what he needs to stick to the abbreviations.
Great stuff from Wags at On3. Check it out, the College of Baseball latest projection. Let's get a break in when we come back. He's got his Hurricane shirt on, so we will let him gloat about the Hurricanes. beat the Devils in round 1. Next up, the Washington Capitals. We'll discuss that and look around the NHL playoffs as a whole. This is Hoist the Colors.
Hey, it's Jim Wells again with Wells Roofing and Gutters here in the beautiful community of Lindale, Bedford. At Wells Roofing and Gutters, we believe in quality first, and that's why we use Certainty shingles manufactured in Oxford, North Carolina, a local company. In the event you ever do have a claim or a problem with your roof system, they're local and they come and take care of us in a timely manner. We could leave off some accessories and we could certainly save money, but we believe at Wells Roofing and Gutters in installing the correct way per manufacturer requirements, and we warranty your roof both in-house and also with our supplier who is Certainteed. For a job Wells done, no shortcuts taken, and a good quality job on your home, give us a call today, 252-227-8403. We also offer financing, 12 months, no interest, no payments.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human, about creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
You have a choice when you invest in insurance, and when you choose First State Insurance Advisors, you're working with people you can trust. Clark Stallings has deep ties in the community. His team, including Keaton Smith, Regina Asby, Phil Leyva, Max Joyner Jr., Max Joyner III, and Ginger Smith, provides knowledgeable and professional advice. First State Insurance Advisors is an independent insurance agency. They offer all types of personal insurance as well as various types for business. Call or email First State Insurance Advisors today. We want to be your trusted choice agency.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors. With locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville. We've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked-to-order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
We're live with Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game.
Hoist the Johnny Roger!
Now, back to Hoist the Colors.
Welcome back in. Hoist the Colors on a Thursday. We've got Philip Pilkinen producing. We've got Jonathan Wagner from On3's Sports on as well. We just talked about his college baseball projections. We talked to Kevin Monroe on ECU football as well. We're going to talk some NHL as one of the people in the Lenovo Center the other night when the Hurricanes clinched their first round series win was Jonathan Wagner. Now, at a time during the game, I should share some of his early text messages when the Canes were trailing 3-0. But you got to see a pretty epic comeback, Wag. So what was it like in that series and taking in that series win earlier this week?
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, the Canes are my number one team, pretty clear above everyone else. And it was the first playoff game I've been to this year. And, but then they jump out and it's 3-0 less than 10 minutes into the game. And I'm having flashbacks to last week when I drove to Greenville to see ECU lose to Tulane 20-5. And I'm like, I'm never going to be allowed in a stadium for one of my favorite teams again. And, then they come out in the second period and they play a heck of a lot better and they find a way to tie it. Then they give up the goal. They tie it again, go on. And it was one of those things where the longer the game went, the more you just kind of felt like, all right, they're going to get it. And it was awesome to see. I love watching the handshake line at the end of a NHL playoff series. It's one of my favorite things in all the sports. And, first of all, seeing, Timo Meyer and Eric Halla all sad that their season just ended on the side of the ice closest to me, that was a added bonus as well because I can't stand them. But, then seeing the handshake line, seeing Brett Pesce, former Hurricane, go through and get some really cool embraces and some cheers from the crowd too. So it was awesome. Playoff hockey's the best, and that was definitely an all-timer for sure.
You want me to take it, or you got it?
Take it, Philip. You're the hockey guy.
All right, so I'll let you. We'll kind of wrap, I guess, with you previewing, your thoughts on the Caps series moving forward. Now that they clinched last night as well, their first playoff series victory, which is hard for me to believe since they won the Stanley Cup back in 2018. But this is kind of looking forward here. You guys do finally last week officially sign Nichushkin. Do you think he gets any time on the ice? If so, do you think you guys go 11 forwards and 7 defensemen? Do you think that you do a traditional 12 and 6? And if so, who do you think gets the boot? And when would you like to see him make his debut? Or do you just think this series is going to be too physical? It's going to be too tough, especially the way those 2 games played out at the end of the regular season with you guys in Washington?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, Alexander Nikishin has been regarded as the best defenseman not in the NHL for probably 3 years now. And he's that level of prospect. And talent-wise, he's instantly probably, to be completely honest, he's probably the second or third best defenseman on the team right away. But it's tough. The system the Canes play, the man-to-man defensive style they play, it's tough to come into as a defenseman. As a forward, you can get away with it a little more. But as a defenseman, it's so tough because you have to be perfect just about. And so that being said, if it comes down to just general lineup decisions, he's not going to play. But I do think if you get into a situation where a defenseman goes down, and there will be injuries if the Canes go on a run, but there will be injuries. So in that case, I think he's good enough to where he has already solidified himself as the next man in. But it's also tough because, he doesn't speak a lot of English either. So he's a Russian. And the Russians on the team are Kochetkov, who is either in net or on the bench, Svechnikov, who's a forward, and then you have Dmitry Orlov, who is also a defenseman, but a lot of people, that's kind of who they want Nikishin to go in for. So he's really good. I'd love to see him because I do think he would make the team better, but with so much at stake in the playoffs, it's just tough to put someone in for his NHL debut in that spot. But purely talent-wise, he's ready. But I wouldn't be surprised if they do stay healthy. We don't see him until next season.
Speaking of health, is Freddie healthy? And if so, is it going to be the first team to 2 in this series? Because Logan Thompson's been playing his rear end off over there in Washington. And, Freddie was standing on his head there those first few games until he went down from that shot from Timo.
Yeah, they haven't specified what the injury is. I'm assuming it's probably a concussion protocol type thing, but he did return to the ice this morning. He wasn't skating with the main group, but he was out there taking some shots with the extras. So they're going to put him back out there fully tomorrow, I think, and see how it goes from what I've seen today. But, man, Freddie has been really good in the postseason. And I think, for me, my biggest concern coming in was it's the same thing as last year. Freddie missed a lot of time, but then he came back earlier this year. But ever since then, he alternated pretty much to an exact science every other game with Kochetkov. So Freddie came in, and you think Kochetkov was so bad to end the season, you think Freddie's the guy in the playoffs, but are they going to run him out there every game? So there was part of me that thought, after game 3 going 2 overtimes, that game 4 you run out Kochetkov, and obviously that's where the injury happened. So Kochetkov finished that game, and he got to start in game 5, and that was shaky. But yeah, I do think if Freddie is starting and it's Freddie and Thompson and net, then as long as both of them keep playing to the level they have, then yeah, I think first to 2 or 3 is probably going to win most games. But as we've seen before, as the postseason wears on, Freddie he's older and he starts to wears down, kind of loses balance, can't recover as quickly. We saw it really last year against the Rangers in the second round. So he's had some time off in between the injury and now. So I feel good about him. But it's, again, I kind of need to see it in the second round before I believe it. But it would sure be a heck of a goaltending matchup if they both keep playing at that level.
All right, and then I'm going to ask you one more Canes thing, and then Igo can either cut it or we can go into just kind of the other teams. I do have some questions for you, just kind of your thoughts on teams around the league. But just what are your thoughts on the series? Do you think the Canes are the favorite? I know I personally, I'm going to be honest, when the bracket came out, I had you guys making the conference finals. I think you did too. I can't remember if we ever solidified. I know we talk a lot or text a lot of the different, about different things. And do you think that bad blood from those last 2 regular season games is going to pour over?
Yeah. First off, on the bad blood, I don't think so. I think they kind of had their chance a couple weeks after that crazy game in Raleigh to kind of get it all out. You had your fight. You kind of got that over with. So I think that's just past. But I do think you'll have some new bad blood that starts in this series because it's a playoffs, and that's what happens, especially when you're the Canes and Caps and you don't like each other. So those series are always fun. But yeah, I think going into it, I've never – coming into the season, I always thought this is kind of the retool year for the Canes where they have their team. They're probably going to make the playoffs, and you're not going to win the cup. And I kind of still feel the same way. And I know the hot start kind of changed expectations a little bit, but the Canes are not good on the road. And we saw that in New Jersey. I think the Canes did not play very well against a Devils team that, 4 of their top 6 defensemen are either out or playing at probably less than 50%. And they don't have their best scorer. And so I don't feel good about the Canes on the road. And given that the Caps do have home ice advantage, if it does go 7 games, it's in DC. I don't like the Canes' chances. And I think it's a tough matchup for them as well, even though the Canes went 2-1-1 in the regular season. But I think it's going to be a good series. It's going to go 6 and 7 games, and there's probably not going to be any blowouts. But I would probably give a slight edge to the Caps right now. And they just have that good feeling around them with Ovechkin getting the record, and who knows how much longer he'll be doing it. So I would give slight edge to the Caps, but most of my predictions I make are wrong, so I'm hoping that's true today.
All right, Wags, we will wrap with this. I got 2 questions for you. One, what first-round results, obviously 3 series out of 8 have been decided, or you could go a series that still is ongoing, but what first-round result thus far has surprised you the most? And number 2, what series that is still going are you most locked in on going forward?
Yeah, the one that surprised me the most, I am going to go with Florida-Tampa. And Tampa was the team I was really high on coming into the year just because they always seem to turn it on. And I thought the winner of that series would probably go on to win the East and potentially win the Cup. But Florida just manhandled Tampa Bay pretty much from start to finish in that series. They win it in 5. So that surprised me just because I thought it would be a series. But the one I'm locked in on moving forward, and I hate that it's a West Coast one because I can't stay up and watch all of them every single night, but it's LA and Edmonton. And coming into it, I love both of those teams. And I think they both have a chance to go on a run. Edmonton's goaltending is shaky, but LA just kind of has that Cinderella type feeling like they did in, I believe, 12 and 14 when they won the Cup. So that's a fun one. And obviously Dallas and Colorado is fun too, but that's the easy answer, and I don't like easy answers. So, but yeah, I'm going to go LA Edmonton. I think the winner of that series has the feeling of kind of a sneaky Cinderella team that can come out of the West.
I have a quick yes or no because we do got to get a break, and I'm going to get your total thoughts on this weekend when we're together. Is this the last year for Winnipeg? Is that window closing?
Yes.
Okay. I want to talk more about it this weekend, but yeah.
Winnipeg up 3-2 over St. Louis. Yeah, every series in the West going to Game 6, and then already 3 decided in the East. All right, Wags, this has been fun, man. Appreciate you. We'll get you back on at some point during the college baseball postseason, but we'll see you at Bucks on the Pond on Monday night as well. Thanks, man.
Yep, sounds good. Thanks, guys.
He is Jonathan Wagner, does great work for On3. You can hear him every Monday night. Bucks on the Pond, Hoist the Colors, ECU Baseball podcast as well. We'll get our final break in. We'll come back. We got to talk about some new commits for ECU basketball and football. We'll discuss those to close the show. This is Hoist the Colors.
Hi, I'm D.R. Alligood.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
252-946-1227. Your roof is a vital part of protecting your home and family from dangerous storms and hurricanes. At Assist Roofing, we install and maintain metal roofing that provides precise protection. Add value to your home while lowering utility costs with a fortified roof to last a lifetime. With 0% financing, grants, and Energy Star Green Roofing tax credit available, call us to schedule a free consultation so you can weather any storm with confidence.
Make every day electric on the Kawasaki Electro 20 electric balance bike. Maximize the fun with long run times, impressive top speed, and Kawasaki build quality. Easy adjustability and smooth handling make everyday riding more enjoyable. And the standard MTB type tires provide off-pavement capability. The Kawasaki Electro 20 is the electric balance bike that's built to rip. Go to Ron Ayers Motorsports, Memorial Drive north of the airport, Greenville.
Your confidence makes everything look good. You see the world in vivid color, not black and white. Swing through your neighborhood Fantastic Sam's Cut in Color and let our experienced stylists take you from everyday to extraordinary.
Fantastic Sam's hair salons are locally owned and operated. Our full-service salons are conveniently located in Goldsboro, Kinston, Greenville, New Bern, Jacksonville, and Calabash. Stop in today at Fantastic Sam's, where the possibilities are endless.
If you are interested in living longer and living stronger, Eastern Physical and Lifestyle Medicine is accepting new patients for a limited time. Finding a caring physician can be a challenge. Dr. Billy Smith is board certified in physical medicine and lifestyle medicine and has been practicing in the area for many years. Call for an appointment now to Eastern Physical and Lifestyle Medicine, 252-364-1108 in Greenville. That number again is 252-364-1108.
Looking for a great deal on a new Nissan?
At Greenville Nissan, we've got a great selection of new Nissans for under $30,000.
The stylish Nissan Sentra, offering top-notch fuel economy. The Nissan Altima, known for its comfort and technology.
The Nissan Kicks, the perfect combination with its compact design and performance. The Nissan Versa, delivering incredible value without compromising on features. And don't forget the Nissan Rogue, an award winner for 10 years in a row. Drive it home just for $22 down and $349 a month.
Visit GreenvilleNissan.com today.
Greenville Nissan, where we drive to serve.
Hi, I'm D.R. Alligood.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
252-946-1227. Sail and hoist the colors. Back to the show with Steve and Igo on 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back in. Hoist the Colors. Final few minutes of the show here. Appreciate Jonathan Wagner and Kevin Monroe. We've touched on a little bit of everything today. Philip Hilkinen producing. We teased earlier in the program, right before Kevin joined us, that the Pirates had gotten a few commitments. We'll start on the basketball front. ECU gets William and Mary transfer Isaiah Mbing, who is a reigning all-CAA rookie selection last season with the Tribe, which finished fourth in the CAA. Now he averaged 5.7 points across 32 games, which is solid, but a deeper look shows the 6'1", 175-pounder had a team-high 110 assists compared to 54 turnovers in 19.9 minutes per game. He also had 48 steals, which led the team as well. So from what I understand, this is a guard who has very long arms, not the tallest in the world, but defensive-oriented, also can handle the ball. And so you add really a second point guard option behind JUCO transfer, former Louisville commit Corey Calker. And so you get a little extra depth there. Not a great shooter, 32% or so as a freshman, but can shoot the ball a little bit. But I like this move, Philip. I don't think he's going to be a frontline guy, but in terms of adding experience and depth at point guard, which as we've seen the past few years, you can never quite have enough.
No, you can't. Look, man, you need two guys, at least, preferably three, you 100% trust to handle the basketball. And look, if this guy comes in and he's playing, 10, 12 minutes a game, and you can get, in those 10 to 12 minutes, say 3 assists or 1 turnover, you're feeling good. He doesn't have to be a star. He can only score, maybe in this offense he's only scoring 4 points a game. That's not a problem, I don't think. I think this is a depth piece in the backcourt, a backcourt that I felt was a little positionless last year. I think it's a little coming together more this year. They're there's more of a defined point guard. Sounds like he's going to be the number 2. All he's got to do is get in there, facilitate a little bit, not turn the ball over, and he can have a successful career in a Pirate uniform.
On the football front, East Carolina secures a pledge from former Old Dominion cornerback Rashad Reason, 2-year starter with the Monarchs. He joins a transfer-heavy class at corner, as we talked about with Kevin Monroe earlier in the show, basically a brand-new room. Now, Teron Williams is the new corners coach. He also was on Mike Houston's staff earlier during Coach Houston's time, so he's worked alongside Blake Harrell already. He comes back to ECU after a few-year stint at Old Dominion. So what happens, Rashad Reason, who was coached by Coach Williams, follows him to ECU. You're getting a guy who has played over 1,000 snaps the last 2 seasons. PFF grades are pretty solid. And again, Philip, much like point guard, you always need depth at corner. And I think this guy, like Blake said on the Patrick Johnson show yesterday, you need guys who have played football, and this guy fits that description.
He's played football, and look, ODU, yeah, it's a slightly less level than us, but hey, it's still group of 5 football. He's proved he's a starter, and you know what? He can translate to the other players what coach means. Every coach, every teacher, right, it has got their little quirks, their little sayings, and if you've never been around him before, you're like, what the heck is this guy talking about? It's a familiar face to the position room coach. I think that is a huge benefit that he can be there and kind of be that voice between the coach and the other players.
All right, we are out of time. Johnny Gardner does have a question about any info on the Croatian visiting this weekend. He's speaking to Vito Perkovic. I'll have more on tomorrow's show about that 6'10" prep player who's visiting, so we'll discuss that tomorrow. Bobby Harward will be with us. Thanks again to Kevin Monroe and Jonathan Wagner and Philip Pilkington, as always. We'll see you tomorrow at 12 noon to preview the Wichita State Series, talk recruiting, and more.